Hello, I'm Chris Claremont, and I freaking love freaking comics. You got a problem with that?
Yo, my name is Donnie Cates, and I know the brand is I freaking love comics, but I fucking love comics.
Comics, movies, TV, video games, anime, your powers combined. I freaking love comics.
Live with Judo and Robo.
What's up, what's up, what's up, what's up? Hey, IFLC fans, this is Judah Rad, and I'm here with Robo. Unfortunately, Rhi is not able to make it. She's feeling a little bit under the weather, so hopefully she's all right. We're going to miss her. Sucks that you guys just have to stare at us now. I know we're not quite as fun, but we're going to do our best. How's it going, Robes?
What up, what up?
So let's see. We got it. Already. Damn, son.
What's up? My sound went out for like half a second. What are you, damn sonning?
Yeah, I introduced us. It's weird on the video for me. It looks like you're
Yeah, no, I took my phone off. I'm using the laptop camera now, so I look good on EPAC. Let me change it on Skype so you can see me how everybody else sees me.
Lo Tigre, what's up, Flo? Or Cypher?
Tigre, what's up?
What's up, Scythe Dog? Scythe Dog Millionaire? What's up, man?
I just went on his Discord this morning. He's got a little bit of activity over there.
Ooh, Discord activity. We have a lot of activity, but that activity is people leaving our Discord.
Yeah. It's like I get all excited and shit because like, ooh, Discord from our server. So and so has left the server. Oh, okay, cool.
What's up, Mylene? It looks like you're hitting us up from the mainland.
Yeah, from the great Evergreen State.
I heard that you went back because you and George are having issues or something like that. It's funny. She made a post and she was like, "Hey guys, I'm back on the mainland for personal reasons, and yeah, me and George are good. So quit out with your bullshit or whatever." It was funny.
Yeah. You know how people are.
Yeah, one speculates. What's up, Polly? Oh fuck yeah, Polly's here.
Polly.
It's gonna be a good show.
Hey, Mylene, even if you get bored of this, just keep it running in the background, please. Yeah, so we can have like users and watch time. Thanks. All right, so usually we have the old Rhi, you know, kind of
the Rhi dog.
Yeah, we call her the propellant and the glue. You know, when we start getting stuck, she makes sure we get forward.
She's the propellant, the adhesive, the antibiotic.
The antibiotic, yeah. And she's
the
from Australia, so
the diuretic.
I mean, by nature, she can kill us. I'm sure there's something about her that like she's probably poisonous in some way.
She's venomous, yeah.
Or she's an assassin. I had to restart my computer, so I'm gonna open up these our little news thing that we had going. It was actually a pretty slow news week this week. Not a lot of hard hitting stuff happened. I think quarantine is kind of slowing a lot of stuff down. But we'll go ahead and kick it off with the first bit of news that we got here. The Harley Quinn run that Sam Humphries is doing is actually coming to an end. He's been writing it. Harley Quinn number 75 actually drops this August, hopefully. And that'll be the end of this run. One thing that he did make clear is that Sam Humphries, if you're a fan, is not going anywhere. He's going to go to something, and he put a little parentheses in his tweet, no hints. And Harley Quinn is not going anywhere. And there's, if I'm reading it correctly, it looks like the title is going to keep going. Just somebody else is going to pick her up. And again, he says no hints.
I like Sam Humphries. He's a good comedic comic book writer, which, you know, there's not as many of those as you would think. He did a legendary Star-Lord run and then just a Star-Lord run that were both really entertaining. And he's like definitely does like the good quirky type character. So he was very well suited for Harley. Hopefully they get someone good to replace him on that title.
For sure. And just to kind of bait it out a little bit, so I have my news, and I said it's a slow news week, but we actually have a really big piece of news, and it'll be right after these headlines. Judy knows what's up. He just texted it to me like 5 minutes ago.
It is big news.
Yeah, it is big news. All right, next up. So X-Men. I know that X-Men, as the longer X-Men goes on. I feel it's, and I didn't think this at first. At first, I felt like the people that were criticizing it were being, kind of in the minority, and I kind of looked at them. I'm sorry, Polly, but I kind of looked at them as kind of like contrarians. Like, I'm like, of course, there's got to be somebody who doesn't like it. But as time goes on, and the quarantine didn't help at all. And the more I read, because I'm catching up in my back issues there. It's becoming more and more polarizing, and I wouldn't say that they're the vocal minority. And wait, hold on a second. Hey, finger guns. Is that good, Polly? Finger guns. All right, all right. So, but it's not just a minority. I think it's the group of people that are kind of, I don't know if disappointed's the word, just more like what's going on? Can we get something going on here?
I think it's a combination of things. It's the unfamiliar. I mean, X-Men is completely different now. Mutants are completely different. Their role in Marvel is different, and I think different is scary sometimes. Even for me, I like to embrace things that are new, but even for me, I also find myself missing the familiar. But then there's also Gail Simone just tweeted she will not be joining us on this live stream. She's having a moving party, but she did acknowledge our existence. Hi, Gail. We love you, Gail. So I think the other thing is just the volume. I think there's so many titles. There's so many mutant titles, and nobody really feels like they know what to follow specifically, what the most important thing is going to be. I mean, reasonably, you would think it would be the X-Men Prime title that would be the biggest title that really drives it, but
just drop off everything. But even all of that stuff is kind of like,
that's not how it's always
tuned.
been.
Well,
it's not how it's always been. Yeah,
you're right. You're right. I mean, I think people are kind of like, there's been a lot of times where the X-Men title has been kind of like, hey, we're just doing some day-to-day stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Scattered, yeah.
Yeah, and then we have big events. But here's the problem. Here's the difference. The difference is we are in the big event. This is the dawn of X. This is like oh shit, there's Jonathan Hickman. And then you're kind of left in this whole, like, every issue is like, wonder where we're going with this.
But Robo, we knew this was kind of going to be like this, because you remember back in 2013 when Jonathan Hickman first started writing. Well, okay, let's go back even farther, like 2010 time frame when he was writing Fantastic Four. I mean, that was the beginning of Secret Wars, 5 years before the fact. You know what I mean? Right. Planting a seed here. No pun intended. Planting a Krakoa seed here, there. And then even after the Fantastic Four, it didn't hit the climax. Then he started with Avengers and New Avengers, and even then, it was a build-up to Infinity with Secret Wars in mind. But Secret Wars was still the long game. So I think we're looking at a very long game, and I think that even now, when we're kind of apprehensive about how long it's taking for House of X, Dawn of X, House of X, Powers of 10, Dawn of X,
yeah,
so much.
Yeah.
I think even now, as we're looking at it, like, so where is this really going? I think when the Secret Wars of this saga finally appears, we're gonna look back on this time and be like, fuck, it was great. The way they planted all those seeds, you know what I mean? The way they built it up.
Yeah. Polly says, hey, she keeps saying it might get better, and it might not, and she's right. We both have read Jonathan Hickman stuff. We see them on the for sale table, and like, ooh, Jonathan Hickman. So we read it, and then we text each other, and it was like, that was a weird story. So as much as I love Jonathan Hickman so far, I mean, no one's perfect. There's hit or misses, right? And
You're talking about like his some of his lesser known Image stuff, like Red
yeah,
Mask.
yeah. There was another one. There was another one called Transhuman that I was reading that I was just kind of like,
So
you know.
he's very prolific. Like he's got those that most people haven't even really heard of, and I would say they're hit or miss. But then he's got the Black Monday Murders and
great,
East,
yeah.
East of West, which is critically acclaimed, everybody loves. It just finished actually,
Yeah.
and people really love that as well.
Polly's actually helping us along. Polly's going to do a stand-in for Rhi. So X of Swords is the upcoming event. That's right. And that whole segue was a 15-minute segue to talk about X of Swords. So X of Swords, Marvel put out the announcement that September, X of Swords, actually pronounced 10 of Swords. 10 of Swords, creation number 1, will drop September 1st. What we're looking at is if you're looking at how to read it and how to get prepared for it, Marvel has stated that it's really going to take obviously it's all canon, they're all together, but if you only read 2, read the X-Men mainline and Excalibur. Those 2 are going to lead you to 10 of Swords, creation number 1.
And it's kind of a tag. It's a tag team between Jonathan Hickman and Teenie Howard, who's writing Excalibur.
Yeah.
Man, I've been following her Twitter, and she's really just getting me stoked for it.
Yeah.
This is not going to be the big. This is not going to be the big culmination. This is going to be a culmination, a event.
Yeah.
And I think
it's a major crossover event.
It'll kind of get our dicks wet just as far as like what this new revamp is capable of.
Right.
But the best and the biggest, I think, is still knowing Jonathan Hickman still yet to come. George or Robo, sorry, God, I suck. Do you know? So I've been reading a little bit about the what this 10 of Swords is going to be about. Have you seen any of the kind of not spoilers but hints?
So I'll tell you this much, and it kind of sucks. We should, knowing that this was going to come up, we should have done our homework. I'd be willing to bet if me and you, and I know we're not because we're reading a shit ton of other stuff, but if we were up to date on all the X-Men issues and all the Excalibur issues, we might know where this is going. But I've done a little bit of Googling, and my Google U degree has failed me because the most I can get out of it is it's kind of a big unknown, and there's a lot of pieces that have already been put in place as far back as the Powers of X, House of X, Powers of 10, House of X storylines. There's a lot of these puzzles that are going to come crashing down in the Sword of 10 of Swords.
It's going to evolve like a series of very important swords going back to the early days of Marvel Comics, going back to like 60s, 70s, and 80s, you know? I think it's going to draw some deep cuts, which I always enjoy that, and Jonathan Hickman seems to always enjoy that too. Hopefully it's done in a way that satisfies kind of like old school fans, but also is accessible and explains. But you know, we're gonna be getting swords like famous swords that we've read about. We could even see the all black sword.
The Necro sword. I was gonna say,
which would be fucking dope. But
wouldn't that be great for next week's news item? Like, so we just found out Donny Cates is going to write one of the episodes, one of the issues. By the way, what we do know, it is 15 parts. 15 fucking parts. That's 10 of Swords. So I really hope it's a bi-monthly. Because if it's not bi-monthly or better, we're looking at 15 months of this arc.
Paulie wants to remind us that X-Men versus Fantastic Four is ongoing at the moment.
Yep, I have all the ones in that box. You know what? After I'm done with this, so we can talk to it later. Next week, we'll just say it right now. Next week on Saturday, we're gonna do a deep dive in Dawn of X, the whole X-Men series. Are you caught up? Well, you know what? Our dealer just opened up today, so we're gonna get caught up, and we're gonna get our back issues because that is a big story that I think we need to get into. Do you agree, Judah?
I agree.
Yeah, we got to get it. I have the X-Men versus the F4 storyline together. Just haven't read them yet. They're in my to read file. Moving on. So this one's another big one with regard to. By the way, this is my tank right here. Got my sweet ass. It's like a playing card.
Oh, nice.
Flo says for us to be consistent, you need to go put on a tank. So we can wait. We can wait if you need to go put on one or something. No, there it is. There it is. Get him. All right. So going back to DC. So in the Sandman universe, DC Black Labels announced a new series called The Dreaming Waking Hours, in which they introduce Ruin, the embodiment of nightmares. So here, let me read out this the official reading. One of dream's heaviest responsibilities is the creation of nightmares, the beings that haunt our sleep and turn our thoughts towards darkness. In the form of Ruin, the nightmare of catastrophic failure, Dream was certain he'd built his next masterpiece. But Ruin can't help but live up to his name, sending every situation into a spiral of unexpected consequences. Unfortunately, Shakespearean scholar and exhausted new mother, Lindy, has dreamed of Ruin, and in the process, she's delivered him into the waking world. Another series that I have not caught up on.
I've read the entire original Neil Gaiman Salmon run. I'd like to do it again as an adult. I did it when I read it back when I was a kid, and let me tell you, it is fucking phenomenal. And Robo, you particularly, you like large concepts, cosmic shit.
Yeah.
We're talking about the beings that manage the very fabric of existence.
Yeah.
So a lot of people. Oh,
I have this one here. Oh, which one's that? Is that volume 1?
Yeah, this is volume 1.
Okay,
Preludes and Nocturnes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the Endless. Let's talk about the Endless. 7 beings that are cosmic abstracts.
Ainsley in the chat.
Manage the fabric of all reality. What up, Ains? So, you got Dream, who is the ruler of the dream realm. Delirium, which is she's almost like the avatar of insanity, almost, but not in a malicious way. She's delirium. Desire, Destiny, Despair. What did I say so far? I'm fucking myself up. Dream, Delirium, Desire, Destiny, Despair, Destruction, and Death. So this is what runs our reality.
Yeah.
So if it existed in Marvel, it would be a realm Doctor Strange would interact a lot with, but this is where magic and science intersects into something even greater, something greater than the sum of its parts.
Yeah.
And this whole Sandman series that Neil first wrote kind of explores that through the perspective of Morpheus, who's also Dream. And it's phenomenal. A lot of emotional rises and falls. The conclusion of that was absolutely emotionally resonant. Made me weep. It actually made me weep. It was very powerful.
Like teared, for real?
Like I'm talking like a Pixar cry. Like I had no shit, a bead right here that I then glared at until it retreated back into my manly eyes.
That's right. You pulled it in.
Right.
Yeah.
Because feelings and emotion are for lesser men and women, obviously.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's great.
Welcome to IFLC, where we support toxic masculinity. No, I'm just kidding. Masculinity.
But anyway, yeah, it was it's great. There were a couple spin-offs. I know Lucifer. There's been some crossover, where these Endless have made appearances. There was another Dream that emerged in the early 2000s. There's some pretty good books about him, but this is, I think, the first real fucking return, full-throated return. So yeah. I'm very excited. Sorry for blabbing on about that forever.
No, that's good. That's good. When I was reading the setup for it, it made me really I'm like, okay, I gotta get ready. Glynis is in the chat. I don't know what's going on with this thing.
What's up, Glindog?
I keep hoping that my other camera will do better, but yeah. So that's gonna be good. So what I have so far. So we have Doomsday Clock to read. I got to catch up on the Sandman stuff. I got to finish the Dawn of X because in next week's Live from the Apocalypse, we're going to spend some time talking about Dawn of X, and hopefully people in the chat will help us out and tell us whether or not they like it or not.
But you were mentioning another development
that leads
So,
me to.
I just got another email from her
Yeah.
confirming. So this is confirmed. Next week on Thursday, the 21st of May, we will be interviewing Tina Horn, the writer of SFSX or Safe Sex.
Mm-hmm.
It's her first foray into comics, and this is for Image. Right now we're 7 issues deep, and this shit is the bomb. So she's a sex columnist, and she hosts a sex podcast. I wish I had my notes in front of me. People really do that or something like that. I apologize, Tina, for misquoting that. We'll get it right. And she's very prolific sex expert, a sexpert, if you will. She writes this brilliant comic. It's about a kind of a dystopian future where sex is heavily regulated by the government.
Yeah.
And it's about a team of sex heroes basically running an underground sex community. And if that sounds weird, it's actually pretty cool. I'm like four or five issues deep. I'll definitely be all the way caught up by the time Tina comes on our program. But we're definitely excited to pick her brain. I think it's gonna be a fun episode. I think it'll be really interesting. So you guys have that to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely. So it kind of like, it's really awesome because it's a good segue into some of the other YouTube deals that we have planned, right? So one of them is going to be led by Rhi, who is sick today, by the way. So make sure to send her some love and care if you know her on Facebook. Send her positive energies in the form of posts her way. But hopefully she's well enough to record on Thursday because we do plan on doing a sex positive, uncensored version of sex and comic books. Yeah.
You talking about doing it?
Yes, but it's going to be way less creepy than that. So
Am I limited as to how many times I can laugh like this?
Nope.
Okay, cool.
Until we start making money, and then we'll see. We'll just watch the money ticker go down. So don't forget. So there will be a recording next Thursday with Tina Horn, but I have to edit it and all that. So probably by that weekend we'll get that up. So pretty excited about that.
Very excited.
What else do you got going on? What are you reading?
I'm reading so much. I'm always reading so much. Right now I'm reading Jeff Johns' Green Lantern, which I never actually really read. I read like a few pieces of it as it was continuing, but I just want to do like a read through of the whole entire thing, and it is baller. It really I never thought I would love Green Lantern as much as I love it when Jeff Johns is writing it, and I'm in such a Jeff Johns frame of mind. I mean, we're dealing with Doomsday Clock, and then we have he's writing pretty much everything. He's very prominent guy at DC.
Right.
And I just got done reading Dark Side War, which is the culmination of his New 52 Justice League run, and the dude's got talent. I would say he's like, how every time we talk about Marvel and what they're doing, you can't talk about it without talking about Donny Cates and how he's really the kind of
is Jeff Johns DC's force. Donny Cates?
I would say so, yes.
Yeah.
I would say he's like DC's Donny Cates mixed with DC's Jonathan Hickman mixed with DC's Brian Michael Bendis. Yeah. He serves all those roles, you know what I mean? And he's really driving it.
Hey, Glynis, real quick. So you just got to roll with it. We're just real quick. New Mutants feel the same way. I feel the same way. Glynis says, I really want to love New Mutants, but it feels less focused than I would like it to be. And so I would say out of all the titles, it's less. Polly says, unless you get that WoW. Okay.
I agree with Ainsley, though, that Marauders is fucking baller. In fact,
Marauders is dope. Is dope.
I would say
is that your favorite? Is it your favorite?
I like it as much as I like the main X-Men title.
I feel it's my favorite because it has Storm, and I'm going to tell you right now that if I ever had a chance to talk to Jonathan Hickman directly, if I had a chance, like if we saw him at a con and he he gave us some time for some questions, I would tell him, hey, just want to let you know, I think the biggest swing and a miss was not giving Storm her own title, because I think that would have been fucking dope. Like, to have like a straight up Storm centric deal going on, but now she's a side character for Marauders, so I don't know.
She's had some solo titles in the past. I'm sure she will again.
But under Jonathan Hickman, can you imagine, like, in this big event, you know, having Storm have her own title? That'd be dope. I don't know, maybe.
Jerome Dickey wrote a really great Storm solo series not too long ago. I wish that he would come back to the character. His Storm run was kind of like a Storm early origin when she was in Africa. It actually has like little girl thief Storm hooking up with T'Challa for the first time.
Right.
So it has like kind of the early stages of their eventually doomed romance.
She was worshipped as a god. She has she's titled as an Omega level mutant. She controls the weather and electricity on that can rival Thor, the god of thunder. The fact that, and Polly just said it, you know, make her a damn bodyguard. The fact that she's following Kitty Pryde to protect her and not having her own like kind of thing, kind of is a little annoying. But it was
nice when she was like she spent decades as the leader, the actual leader of the X-Men.
Yeah,
and that was pretty awesome. I wish they might return to something like that. That was pretty cool.
I let everybody know that Mylene, she went to go visit her mom, and like we said at the beginning, and I said, "Woo, maybe this is the time for World of Warcraft." And Polly is absolutely correct. If I get World of Warcraft, I just may not be ready for any of these next episodes coming up. So maybe I won't get World of Warcraft. What are you reading? What are you reading right now? So what do we have?
I'm reading the.
Yeah, go ahead.
Just the Green Lantern stuff. Just read The Watchmen again for like the 50th time. I'm also reading what's it called? I just read the Spider-Verse crossover because I have the trade that.
How was that?
You know, I read it when it first came out, and it was just the main event, and I remember liking it. So I was like, I want to read it with the tie-ins because there's a lot that happened. It's a very tie-in centric crossover. So I wanted to read the Spider-Man 2099 tie-ins. I wanted to read the Spider-Woman tie-ins. All in all, I would say it's a decent event. It's a little overwhelming because there's just so many spiders, and there's an element, and maybe you'll disagree with me. I don't know. I'd definitely like to hear your input, but there's this phenomenon with Spider-Man that I call the totemization of Spider-Man that I just don't really like. For example, the Spider-Man we've known most of the time we've been alive, which is an incredibly long amount of time I don't want to get into, is Spider-Man Peter Parker. He's bit by a spider in a freak accident. He's just an ordinary kid who rises to the occasion, and extraordinary circumstances becomes an extraordinary hero. And I like that. And with the Spider-Verse, and this really started back with JMS, but it really climaxes with Spider-Verse, where Spider-Man isn't just a guy who had an accident and became a Spider-Man. Spider-Man is a universal constant, and that in every reality there is a totem Spider-Man. And I feel like that mysticizes it to an unnecessary degree, and also takes away some of that hero rising to the occasion magic. I don't know. What do you think about that?
I don't mind it. And the only reason why I really don't mind it is the fact that it depends on how in your face you want to get about it, right? So when you start looking at some of the mythology, if you look at the entire MCU as a single mythology, right? We kind of start. Some writers try to get into the realm of explaining how the Marvel, I almost said MCU, how the Marvel universe is different than ours. Why don't we have superpowers, right? Why are there no super people just flying through the air fighting crime? Well, some writers go, well, if you go all the way super cosmic level, there's this one force and that did this thing, and some people are metahumans or whatever, right? And the source of all these powers is this story, right? So if we take Spider-Man, I don't think it really, for me, and you know, I can only speak for myself, is I don't think it lessens anything, because what it kind of does is, in that same vein as this super higher power on why there's superheroes in that world and not ours, we can go to, and how everything, even life has an entity, death has an actual embodiment, right? These are like these personified energies, right? So is there some sort of energy that's like the spider totem? I don't think it lessens anything, because it's kind of reminds me of the whole like Shazam deal, right? So he's still a kid, he's still doing his deal, but he gets these powers. I would say it's better than the Shazam's deal, because it's still such a subtle kind of thing, like where you just kind of like the Spider-Verse says, hey, just so you know, everyone has a Spider-Verse, and then that way it kind of opens up all these other characters, but it doesn't lessen anything for Peter Parker specifically, in my opinion.
So there's this society of like life force vampires, and they live in this one. They live in Earth 001. The Loom World is what it's called, and on Earth 001, there's this there's like the Great Web, and it's like this web that reaches out to all realities, and these guys travel the multiverse, and they suck out the life. They're almost unstoppable, and they have like, they're unkillable. They're basically immortals, and they suck out the life force of the spider totem of every reality. So they've killed millions of Spider-Men. That's all they do, is they kill Spider-Man. And the first few issues of this, you see them show up to 1602 Spider-Man. Did you ever read 1602 by Neil Gaiman? They show up to his universe, and they just fucking kill him. And that's how this starts. And you're like, holy shit.
So hopefully there's nobody out there that really likes 1602, and then it's like, oh, okay, I guess that's over.
So basically what the Spider-Verse is about is all the spiders, Miles Morales from the still existing Ultimate Universe, Peter Parker from 616, Spider-Man 2099. They even managed to include the Superior Spider-Man, because he's also from Earth 616, but it's from a different time of Earth 616. But so it's kind of cool seeing him and Peter Parker interact, because it's great. But there's the character interactions are the strongest point of the story, and it is kind of a cool idea that that all the spiders have to band together to defeat these monsters. It's cool. It's just I'm still not 100% just fond of the totemization concept. But besides that, I'd still say it's worth reading, and the tie-ins really expand on it. We see the first 4 issues of the Spider-Woman solo title, which are included in this event, which is great. It's drawn by Greg Land, who I think I'm the only human alive who likes his work. Sorry, Greg, but hey, I like you. But it's really good. It's right before.
Does he do art that's not tracing porn stars? Like, there's other art, right?
Yeah, I mean, you read the stuff. It's beautiful. Whatever he does, it's beautiful. And I was talking to, I can't remember which artist I was talking to recently, but they were telling me like, you can't get too bent out of a shape when an artist traces or when they use a photograph, because all artists you do that to some extent. You know what I mean?
It's called referencing. Yeah.
It's called referencing, and also, there's no such thing as an original idea. It doesn't exist. Everything is inspired by something that was inspired by something that was inspired by something. Ideas don't come out of a vacuum. So to like call someone a ripoff or a hack just because you could tell what their inspiration is doesn't necessarily diminish with the work that they do. But that's just my opinion.
I just think it's. I'm with you. First of all, Greg Land is far from the first, and definitely not the only artist who's done that. But I do believe there's a tad bit of difference between using references and having inspiration and going, oh, look at that scene in that ad for Victoria's Secret. I'm gonna use that for my cover, and it's like, and I'm like, oh, all right. It just shows lack of imagination, I think.
I think it's as long as you're creating something new. Like, you listen to rap, and some rap they'll sample a whole song from another era, like a disco song or a funk song.
All music does that, yeah.
I think it's silly to listen to like a rap song that has samples and be like, well, that's kind of unoriginal. I guess they have a lack of imagination if they're sampling another song, creating something new with it. So I don't know.
Every genre does that. You know what I wonder? Every genre. Rock does it tons, right? Does classical orchestra music do that? Do you think Beethoven ever sampled some other shit from 100 years before it?
So it's not sampling, but Beethoven is using or used musical principles that were built by his predecessors. The idea of a coda, the idea of a fifth and a first making a chord. He didn't invent that.
Right.
People came up with that.
But I'm talking specifically about sampling. I'm talking about somebody who's listening. Like I'm listening to Beethoven's Fifth. I'm like, oh my god, that was Schmingelschmeim's things. Because that's a name, by the way. That's my best foreign name.
I think you could take any melody and I would say most of the time find something similar going back further. I don't think people can imagine a new melody. I think that they have to.
Do you think he sampled? I didn't. God damn it, Judah.
So I can't tell if that's a serious. I didn't think that was a serious question because sampling didn't exist before recording technology.
Sure it did. Sure it did. Because sampling would say, I'm taking this. This is from another music. Here's the sheet music. And if I use that same line, people are going to harken back to it because it's 50 years old. And I'm going to add more music on top of that. Or different lyrics or something like that.
I don't know if Beethoven did it, but I'm sure it happened. I'm sure people used melodies that already existed.
That'd be interesting. I don't know.
Yeah.
They didn't sample, but they did copy stuff. Yeah. So it sounds like it's like the same thing, but it's like, nah, they just ripped them off straight up.
Well, yeah, I mean,
instead of paying them.
It's just the nature of art. Art wouldn't exist without art. So it's kind of like a chicken and the egg. But even the very first art, people were making noise or images that were inspired by things that really existed. The sun, the mountains, you know what I mean? The rain. So at some point, someone was inspired to take something and turn it into something else. And it just started a chain reaction to where we are today, where people take something and turn it into something else.
Are you watching anything on TV?
Not really right now. Actually, yes. I'm binge watching all of the DC animated universe movies.
Same. You got me on that. You started talking about the list. I'm like, yeah, okay. Let me try this out. And I actually had seen a lot of them with my son already, and then I remembered, and then I was like, holy shit, this is actually pretty good. It's annoying that some of them decided to go like super adult, and then others didn't, because it's a pet peeve of mine when I pay for a subscription service and then you don't give me all of your titles. So I had to like watch some on DC Universe and then rent some through Apple TV, and it was just like, this is stupid. But
what's your favorite so far?
So far, I would have to say probably the Aquaman one, the Throne of Atlantis.
Throne of Atlantis, yeah, it is good.
Yeah, that's a good one. Bad Blood is pretty good too.
I like Bad Blood. It's got the F-bomb and other swear words, which I always appreciate.
Which then made me have to go rent it on Apple TV instead of it just being on DC Universe.
Oh, there's F-bombs on DC Universe. Harley Quinn shows on DC Universe.
Yeah, no. So that's what gets me. There's one, and I can't remember which one it is, that straight up shows like nude breasts. And then I'm watching it, and I'm like, oh wow, okay. I think they were in a strip club or something, and I'm like, oh wow, okay. That's why it's not on DC Universe. But then other ones aren't on DC Universe, and I'm like, okay, I don't know. And you're right, it can't be the cuss word. So I don't get it what it is.
The one that I've loved the most so far is Death of Superman. I think it was brilliantly done. And the Doomsday in the DC animated universe, Death of Superman, is 50 bazillion times scarier than the Doomsday in the Snyder film.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how.
I think that goes without saying that you can pretty much say insert thing that happened in the comic books is 50 times better than insert thing that happened in the Snyder film. That movie was
don't
bad.
Understand. We're gonna make enemies here, but I just don't understand the Snyder loyalty. He made one movie that I loved, and that was 300.
Yeah.
And then he made a couple movies I liked. You know what I mean? Kind of liked. but I don't think he's.
It's tribalism, man. It's tribalism. Freaking I can't remember the YouTuber now, but there's a YouTuber I watched that really gets into it. He's like, he breaks down the difference between tribes and fandoms. Like, I feel, and okay, if you watch all of our videos in the past, maybe you would disagree, and maybe you would have a good reason to. But I feel like I'm in a fandom, and versus a tribe that goes, I have to be right. No, you know what I mean. And back in my younger days, they would call them fanboys, like people who could not, imagine that Goku would lose or Superman would lose or whatever.
Right.
But this is less about Zack Snyder and more about this contrarian anti-MCU deal. Like, if I'm a bigger DCU fan, then I have to believe that my movie is better than the Marvel movies because I don't like Marvel. And then when it turns out it's objectively not, objectively bad art, if you're watching our other videos, then you have to have a reason. And what's your reason? Zack Snyder actually did an awesome job, and it's a secret cut out there somewhere, and it's gonna blow everyone's mind, you know. And then have you heard the most recent rumor about it?
Oh God, what is it? What's a stupid ass rumor?
It's coming out on HBO Max.
God, these fucking ass clowns. You listen. Hey, you're
Sucker
allowed
Punch.
to,
I liked, by the way. Sucker Punch is another one of his, and I liked it. Yeah.
You're allowed to like Zack Snyder, and you're allowed to like his movies, and they're not the worst movies I've ever seen. I'll even go as far as to say that Dawn of Justice is better than MCU The Incredible Hulk. I will say that.
Or Thor Dark World. Thor Dark World's pretty bad.
That's like, I would put them at the same level.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
it is pretty bad. I like certain parts of Dawn of Justice, and I'll probably watch it again someday. I'll probably watch Batman vs. Superman again. Even for a movie I really didn't like, I still watched it twice because that's what being a fan is, I guess.
Yeah.
Side note, being
We're
a fan.
We're a fan of comics, yeah.
Side note, being a diehard fan of anything involves you watching shit you don't like more than once. I can't tell you how many times I've had to watch Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, just as part of my binge. And every time I'm like, why am I even watching a movie I don't like? Because it's part of the binge. It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's exactly right. I don't know. So let me just go on the record and say this. I went to the theater and I watched Justice League. And I did not walk out of it thinking, excuse me. I did not walk out of it thinking, what a fucking horrible movie. I need to talk to somebody about getting my money back. I watched it. I saw Superman. He's holding somebody by the throat. Who's he holding by the throat? Wonder Woman. And Flash is running around him in slow motion.
And he's like...
And his freaking pupil goes to him. And I'm in my seat. And I'm like, that's fucking tight. Like this, my child brain, right, is like exploding with like, this is fucking awesome. When they had the CGI out of his mustache.
Polly, Attack of the Clones is not good. You're out of your fucking mind. I'm sorry. Respectfully.
Respectfully. He added that. You can't get mad. It's in the Geneva Conventions.
Yeah.
And so so I'm watching it. I fucking loved it. Now, when we talk about like what is actually good, we just got done. Me and Mylene and my son Ben, we just got done rewatching. We just did a Infinity Wars and Endgame watch, and still to this day, it doesn't matter if I've watched it 10 times. When Peter Parker is fading away, I'm like this liquid starts falling out of my face a little bit. It starts like gathering up, and I'm like, this fucking movie's so good. Justice League didn't move me like that. So by comparison, it's not as good to me, but that doesn't mean I didn't really enjoy it. That's the part that gets me. People who say I enjoyed Justice League, I'm gonna go, me too. High five. Like, it was cool. Superheroes. Somebody who tells me this movie was so good, it was way better than any Marvel movie, it kicks the shit out of Endgame, I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were stupid, you know.
Well, you know, it's just their opinion, and it's equally as valid as every other opinion.
Yeah,
so
sure. Yeah. Polly says you're wrong.
Respectfully.
Hey, so moving away from comics for half a second, if you think of something more comics to talk about, then let me know. But I'm watching Solar Opposites on Hulu, and let me tell you, I was drinking a little bit earlier today. I put it on.
Funny?
Man, dude. So the people who made Rick and Morty is Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland. Dan Harmon is known for his work with things like The Community. So Community, another show that I fucking love. And then Justin Roiland, they got together and they made Rick and Morty. Rick and Morty has kind of like, it's one of those things to where as the fan base grows, people are less and less willing to admit they like Rick and Morty because the fan base is just a bunch of fucking insert derogatory name here. And so I still love Rick and Morty, but there's been this weird thing where Rick and Morty hasn't released a new episode in forever. They just started up their season again after releasing 4 episodes of a season after a year and a half wait. It's just weird. Justin Roiland and somebody else, a name that I can't recall right now without looking it up, started a show called Solar Opposites, and Solar Opposites, man, is so good. If you're a fan of Rick and Morty, you're going to watch Solar Opposites and you're going to hear the voice of one of the aliens and you're going to go, okay, he's doing the Rick and Morty voice. And then that did annoy me at first. I'm like, is this a cash grab? Are you just doing another Rick and Morty show and putting aliens in their place? But it's not. Totally different story. Get past the voice and it's a completely different story. I was dying laughing. Let me play a clip that I recorded off my TV. It's only like 20 seconds. I fucking love the show. Give me a second. Choose file, download, and then movie. All right, here we go.
I don't mean to live Moss right now, but instead of thinking outside the box,
saying this goes against every fiber of my brotherness. But
I wish you were watching with me.
I'm gonna pretend that I watched it. I was gonna be like, oh, that was pretty good.
They actually start off with a Taco Bell reference.
And look to your right, motherfucker, because I'm about to matriculate your ass.
I do love Taco Bell.
All right, it's over. Put the volume up on your phone. Everyone will forgive you if they hear the video over the mic. But I wish you were watching with me. That's too loud. Oh, that was pretty good. So yeah, so this show is really good. So if you haven't given it a chance, if you haven't had a chance to go on Hulu and check it out,
Love Taco Bell.
Fucking hilarious.
I will check it out. Sounds good. Are you watching? Sorry, I don't mean to go back to anything comic book related, but did you?
How dare you? How dare you do comic book related stuff on here?
Are you caught up with Harley Quinn?
Not the last one where Batman comes back.
Oh man,
is it good?
Dude.
I heard it got deep. I heard it was good. It was it went into a good story instead of just campy.
This is the best. I fucking love this show.
Yeah.
I really truly love this show. It's so good. I can't gush enough about how much I love this show. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. The characters are so likable. Like at first you think it's just gonna be one way. You think it's just gonna be, screwball humor, some dirty jokes, some like pop cultural references. Let's call it a day, like Family Guy. But It's so much deeper than that. It's a show for DC fans. It's a show for people who like to laugh. It's cool. It's hilarious. It's emotionally poignant. I mean, right now I'm so invested in Kite Man and Poison Ivy, which is something I'd never say, something I thought I would never say out loud. But like, it's about friendship. It's about romance. It's about being a human being. It's about moving on from the past, and it's also really, really funny. It's about redemption. Like, this show is a diamond in the rough. I'm telling you, like, the world needs.
It tackles abuse in a really, really good way. I'd say. Like it was. It wasn't campy. It wasn't like in your face. It wasn't too on your nose. It was actually. It's very smart. It's a smartly written kind of show.
It's socially aware without being preachy. You know what I mean? It's like it's socially aware from a let's entertain you primarily standpoint, which I like.
So, as a Jewish person, you didn't care. You didn't mind any of the like the landlord and stuff. I only asked that because that's actually one of the. I've actually seen that critique more than once, in Twitter talking about I don't care for their Jewish stereotypes, and I'm like,
so intent. You know what I mean? If I thought that the show was trying to characterize Jews in a negative light, then I probably wouldn't like it. But I can recognize that they're just trying to be entertaining, and they're playing off a stereotype to be entertaining, and it just doesn't really grind my gears. You know what I mean? I feel like if you asked any of those creators how they feel about Jews privately in a place where they felt no need to lie, they would still
say
be
fuck
like,
Jews. Yeah, no, I agree. No.
they'd be like, Jews are fine. You know? I don't.
But this
I don't
is
get-
funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get triggered about stuff like that. To me, it's like jokes are jokes. You know,
Right.
they're and the intent matters.
Okay.
I have seen stuff before where I felt like there was a subtle subtext of negativity against Jews, and even then, even if it's funny under those circumstances, I have a problem with it. You know,
That's right. Yeah, which is normal. Speaking of Kite Man, have you read? I think it's
Kite Man, by the way, for everyone who hasn't seen the show, not the. He was not using a slur or any sort.
Kite Man. Kite.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Yes, Kite Man is what I said. Have you read Batman #7, Ballad of the Kite Man?
No, I haven't.
Bro,
is it good?
I got my ass handed to me on
Is it
Facebook.
part of the Rebirth?
Yeah, Batman #7, Ballad of the Kite Man. It's only one issue, and then he kind of touches on him after that. But really, there's an entire issue where it just kind of like it's about him. And I got my ass handed to me on I freaking love DC Comics, our group on Facebook. When I was like, yeah, it would be cool to see him serious, and then one of the dudes on there were like, well, he doesn't have to be serious to be good, and then I'm like, okay, I guess, but wouldn't it be cool if you tried to make Kite Man badass? And then another person's like, have you read Batman #7? Like, and then I'm like, okay, let me see what they do with this, because the Kite Man I know is it's a dude who's fucking has a kite and flies around, and even in comic books, what I've read of him, they don't take it very seriously, and he's an E-lister villain, etc.
They made his nemesis the Condiment King on the show, which is hilarious. Do you remember the Condiment King from the Batman the Animated Series?
I do not.
Such a ridiculous. He's like he's the Condiment
Shoots
King.
ketchup and mustard.
He shoots ketchup and mustard. He's just a fucking clown.
Oh, DC, you.
So funny.
What was I saying? Oh, so you read Ballad of the Kite Man, and I'm like, fine, I'll give it a chance. Let me see what they do with him. Holy shit, bro! Like I'm reading it and I'm like flipping through and I'm like, oh my god! Like, there's a part where Joker has him go blow himself up, like suicide bomb himself, and he has to do it to save his son. And then he does it to kill Batman. And then there's a twist to it. And then there's an even bigger twist at the end of it all that just kind of like leaves you kind of silent. Like I was flipping through and I read the last page. And even though it's fictional, this is why it's great writing. Like I don't really get all the hate that Tom King has gotten, because I think he's really good.
I like Tom King.
I do too. You would if I based my opinions off of social media, you would think Tom King was like the worst thing ever that happened to Batman. But I was like, and I'm sure maybe there's some big like decision making point that I'm not aware of that super fans were upset about or something. I don't know, kind of like a One Last Day kind of thing or something.
One More Day, the Spider-Man.
One More Day, yeah. Like how like One More Day happens, and they're like, oh, I'm so mad. So maybe there was like something like that Tom King did to Batman. I don't fucking know. But I get to the last part of Batman #7, and I'm like, and I'm kind of silent. I'm just like, oh my god, like, and you just kind of put the book down. And you're like, fuck, man, like that was deep. and then what you do is it creates like this narrative, because it doesn't keep going. It's not like this is multi-issue arc. They just spend one issue, Batman #7. They give you Ballad of the Kite Man, and then he's a character. Then he's a character after that, right? And then once you have that frame of reference to what happened to him, now it kind of makes sense. His campy nature, his laugh at everything thing, like I'm an idiot. It's like now I'm looking at it as a survival method. As I have to be this because if I don't, I'm gonna remember how fucking bad life is. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Jesus Christ, dude. Read it.
On the show, I feel like they. So I need to read that. That sounds great. And I've read the first 6 issues of Tom King's Batman.
One more.
I'm just one more away. But the on the show, they kind of defy your expectations because when they first introduce him, he's like, "Hey, bro. Oh, hey, babe."
Yeah.
Like they just deliberately try to make him seem like a douchebag because there's this association between being a bro and being a douchebag that a lot of people carry with them, and they treat it like almost like it's a fact. Like, oh, all bros are douchebags. But he's actually sensitive, loyal, kind.
He's a good dude to her. Yeah.
He's a good fucking person. Which now when you look at his like, hey babe, oh yeah bro, oh it's the kite dog. Hey, Kitey's here, you know, and like you can't hate that now because there's no negative. It breaks the negative association, and now that douchiness that we would normally roll our eyes at or despise in a person is endearing because you've removed that one douche element that makes it negative. So
that's right. Yeah, they actually did the same thing in the show I brought up earlier, Community, where if you watch Community, then you'll know of a character named Vaughn who's like this like hippie California bro kind of dude, and it spends a couple issues making fun of him. But then it turns out he's actually a really good dude, and then like once he gets hurt and he like finds out everything, then both the viewer and the characters in the show are like, oh, I'm the asshole here. Oh, I see. You know.
That is good. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. So
cool. So I've been reading a lot. I'm always reading like 7 or 8 comic books at once, which I know is kind of a problem because it's like I at some point I'm supposed to shower or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I just read Rick Remender's Axis, Avengers X-Men crossover, and oh man, such a disappointing arc. This dude Rick Remender is such a great writer, especially for Marvel. He wrote an amazing, like groundbreakingly weird Punisher run, and then he wrote Uncanny X-Force, which really flows perfectly into Uncanny Avengers. And he had all these little pieces he was building and building and building with Kid Apocalypse, the Apocalypse Seed, and then the Red Skull, slowly integrating that into the story. He goes back to Yarnborn with Thor, like a mistake Thor made back in like, you know, prehistoric times to try to kill like the first incarnation of Apocalypse and pissing off the Celestials. And it really is like this huge buildup over the course of years. And then you get to Axis, and it's just a weak dick story, man. So the whole premise is that, so remember how Professor Xavier died in Avengers vs. X-Men? Well, the Red Skull got a hold of his brain and implanted it into his own head, so now the Red Skull has Charles Xavier's powers. And he's using those powers to turn the entire world into a giant concentration camp against mutants. Basically mind-washing people, turning hero on a hero, turning people on mutant, basically turning the whole world into hate. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And they use Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch finally find a way to reverse the polarity in his mind. Oh,
because that's the way it works.
Stop for a second. Before that, in a really badass issue, Magneto's the one who fucking kills him. Magneto kills Red Skull with Charles Xavier's mind, and it's awesome. This is where it gets stupid. This is where it jumps the shark. Magneto kills
with a jetpack.
The red Magneto. Oh, this is beyond with the jetpack, dude. This is like this is like jumped the shark and nuked the refrigerator at the same time.
Okay.
So Magneto kills Red Skull. You with me?
Mm-hmm.
Kills him. He dies. And the same weird, completely unexplained magical thing happens that created Onslaught back in the 90s, where by killing the Red Skull, you get a new character who's like this weird being that combines the Red Skull's personality with Magneto's anger with Charles Xavier's power into this thing called the Red Onslaught. And the Red Onslaught is basically unstoppable. And the way that they defeat the Red Onslaught is Doctor Strange and the Scarlet Witch reverse his polarity to bring the Charles Xavier personality to the forefront.
And reversing polarity. I don't know why more people don't do that, whenever we need to get over a thing.
I mean, if the Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange can turn any bad guy good, they should just do that all day. You know what I mean?
All day. Yeah, hey, we got a really bad guy here. He's just fucking shit up. Oh, stand by. I know some people who can reverse the polarity.
But Robo, it gets even stupider. This, I don't normally say this about stuff unless I really hate it, but don't read Axis. Just never read Axis.
Okay.
Listen to this. Google it. Watch YouTube on it. Fucking Wikipedia. Do not fucking read it.
Yeah.
So when they reverse the polarity of Onslaught, they're so successful that they also reverse the polarity of everyone else who's on that island, which includes all the heroes that were there, turning them instantly evil, and all the bad guys that were there, turning them instantly good. So to defeat rewinding a little bit, to defeat Red Onslaught, Magneto, and this is back when the story's still kind of cool, where you're forgiving the Red Onslaught shit, and you're just like, okay, whatever, it's comics.
Yeah.
So there's this awesome fucking moment where Magneto assembles his own team of villains. He's like, what you foolish, naive heroes don't realize is to defeat an evil of this magnitude, you need to do it with evil. So he assembles his own team, and it's
like his own Suicide Squad.
Yes,
yeah.
His own Suicide Squad, and it's the worst. It's the worst of the worst, dude. It's Carnage. It's Doom. It's the fucking
Doom I can see. Carnage is stupid.
So they're all self-interested here. They're all like, well, we can't fucking torture a world that doesn't exist anymore. Like we don't want Red Onslaught to be. It's more of a political decision to take out the biggest dog. That for them,
right.
Like they're not acting in anyone's best interest, and they're completely untrustworthy.
Right.
But it's Loki's on the team. Like it's a badass team, and they show up, and as soon as the polarities are reversed, all of those villains become good. And all of the heroes that are there become bad. And that's what the majority of the last 6 issues of this 9-issue Axis saga is. Get it? It's called Axis because everything reverses on its axis.
Man, that's too smart. It went over my head.
The remaining 6 issues of Axis are the villains are all good guys and the good guys are all bad guys. And it is torture. It is torturously bad. Falcon is like the biggest piece of shit ever. Tony Stark is like this complete piece of shit. Meanwhile, Carnage is like leaving messages when he saves people, like, from your friendly neighborhood Carnage. And it is ridiculous.
That wasn't something they could just immediately undo?
So here's what happens. They don't want to undo it. Once they become evil, they like being evil. Once they become good, they like being good.
No, I'm talking about Doctor Strange and... Is Doctor Strange and Wanda also evil?
Yes, now they're evil.
Oh, they get trapped in their own reverse polarity thing. Yeah, okay, got it. So, that doesn't even make sense in the world of magnetics. Like, you do negative to positive or positive to negative. Like, it's not like a reversal where all opposites just change. So, yeah, this is stupid. Go ahead, keep going.
So the way it's resolved, and this is one of the few parts that I think are okay. Like the resolution, even if it's idiotic on a plot level, it's not a bad concept on a more of an emotional subtextual level.
Sure, yeah.
So this is like a little barely redeeming nugget. The way it's resolved is that the heroic bad guys, because they're good, they realize that the world, in order for the world, like it's better for the world if they go back to being evil and the heroes stay good. So they sacrifice their goodness that they like to basically change the polarity back.
So, that actually brings up a couple like ethical questions when we talk about, killing people or locking them away up forever or anything like that. If the power exists to turn a living person into something that is more compliant with social contracts, why would you ever lock them away? Take them to the facility in which you just reverse the polarity and make sure that they turn good.
it's insane. Like all these
Yeah.
bad guys we've locked up or killed because
Yeah.
we didn't want to just make them
Reverse
good.
Yeah, because you didn't
Yeah.
reverse the polarity. It's lazy, really. It's lazy and evil.
It is lazy and evil. The biggest tragedy, I know we've kind of been talking about this for a while now. But just to kind of conclude what I have to say about it, the biggest tragedy of this is that Rick Remender is a good writer, and that's not. It's in like if you were to sit down and if you were to pick up Uncanny X-Force, it would be one of your favorite comics ever. It's like at the Jonathan Hickman Avengers level of like depth and quality and sci-fi and amazingness, you know? And I would say Uncanny Avengers is at the same level. It continues the story, and we get into like all this awesome celestial stuff. I mean, the Uncanny Avengers are a team that rose from the ashes of Avengers versus X-Men. It was Cyclops' idea, or not Cyclops, he's a bad guy at this point. It was Captain America's
Wolverine?
idea.
Oh, okay.
Captain America formed the Uncanny Avengers because to kind of repair the Earth from Avengers versus X-Men, he wanted a team that was half mutants, half human Avengers. And it's great, man. Like the tension between characters that don't normally interact. Like Captain America puts Havoc in charge of the team. But then he's like trying to micromanage, and Havoc has to stand up to him and be like, "No, Cap, it's my team. You made it my team." You know what I mean? And also, it's like the first time that Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, and Rogue have to interact. So they hate each other. Rogue hates the Scarlet Witch, but they eventually kind of find common ground again. There's so much good stuff happening there, and it's really a crime against comics that they decided to just fuck it up with Axis. Anyway.
And we'll close up here in a little bit, but it kind of reminds me of the whole Before Watchmen, right? Like as far as Ainsley says, Havoc, yellow heart.
Yes, Havoc's awesome.
Yeah, he is dope. But it kind of you look at Before Watchmen, the series we just got done doing, and it's like you look at these names on the cover, and you're like, my guy, what are you doing? Like, I know you do good shit. What is this? You know. And so I think everybody kind of does that, you know. I think even like somebody like you say Todd McFarlane's art, where we talk about the rose tinted glasses, and I look back and Todd McFarlane can do no evil. And then when I want to look up some stuff, like recently I just did this, I'm like, I want to start with Spawn #1, and there's some of the art that's like, what is that? And I think people are allowed to have off days. I think even artists have off days and projects that they probably even look at and go, that was my best work. You know what I mean?
In all facets of life, I agree. I mean, it's no secret, this is not going to go in a political direction, but I'm a huge Obama fan. I find him an inspiration. He's one of my favorite historical figures, period. And I really admire him, but he's made some terrible mistakes. He's made some really bad mistakes and some missteps. And I think it's just, you can't bat 100 all the time, or bat 1,000 all the time. Some sports ball reference, sorry. And then look at George W. Bush. I think he's a terrible president. One of my least favorite presidents, but he's also done a couple things that I really liked. He's signed off on some bills that I think were good. So
he invaded Iraq, which is like super important. Like just kidding.
Horrible. Bottom line is, not all people are complex. I don't think the current occupant, who I'm not going to give his name any airtime, is complex, but I think most people are complex. I think most people have good and bad, and do good things and bad things, and produce good things and bad things. And I would say Rick Remender is one of those guys that produces mostly good things. So I can forgive a couple horrible things. Although Kieran Gillen's never done anything I hated yet. Donny Cates has never done anything I hated yet. So who knows?
No.
We'll see.
Donny Cates, we talk about batting 1,000. That is every single item that I look up, and ever since I became a fan of Donny Cates through Marvel, and I read back and I want to read his Baby Teeth or his Redneck or his God Country, and it's like home run. Like, he's got to fail eventually, and then maybe that'll show my tribalism and fanboyness at that point. Glenna says, I mean, even Stephen King can admit it was a coke-fueled nightmare full of bad choices.
I've totally fallen off the Stephen King fandom.
Off?
I used to love... So when I was a kid, one of the first authors I read voraciously... What's the word I'm looking for? Avidly. One of the first authors that I read everything he wrote was Stephen King. And I was obsessed, and I loved him. I thought he was great. sometime in like 2012, I want to say, I'm reading Stephen King. It's whenever, what is it called? 5-something-63, the John F. Kennedy one. It was when I read that. It's like I had this moment where I was like, all this shit is the same. And it's not that the stories are all the same, it's his writing voice is the same, and it's predictable, and I'm almost just sick of it. Like, you get so familiar with someone that you can never separate them from their work, and that's kind of how it became with Stephen King. The way
it was kind of like watching like a rom-com or something. You just always know.
Maybe that is a good comparison. But it's like his voice. It's like I'm reading Stephen King, and I'm like, oh, he's using a song lyric, and he's having people repeat a song lyric throughout a book. That's a Stephen Kingism. Oh, he's inventing curse words that people don't normally say, like, I beat the goddamn out of that guy. Like, he's using, it's like not, in his world, everyone has these same expressions that nobody says in real life. In his world, everyone listens to Bruce Springsteen and applies Bruce Springsteen lyrics to their story. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, at a certain point, I'm like, oh, Stephen King being Stephen King, and it's not that I don't like him anymore, that he's a bad author, it's just, I'm just over his style. So I totally relate to what Glenn is saying. Not totally, I actually like it. I think it is really good, but...
She also adds that it's he's the Burger King of writing.
Kind of.
But I love Burger King, so I don't know how to take that. Like, he's the best? How does that...
I don't want to bash him too heavily because he really is great. It's just, I don't think he stopped growing is really what it is for me. I think he's in his comfort zone as a writer, and I think that's where he remains. Yeah.
Or he is who he is, right? I mean, like, I think people reach their pinnacle, and this is how I write. And I don't know why people who are millionaires who sell freaking New York bestsellers feel the need to change anything. I agree with you. I mean, I see what you're saying. I'm not a big reader myself, but I understand what you're saying.
I'm about to piss off Polly real quick. Polly says that Bill Sienkiewicz can do no wrong, that he's 100 out of 100. Completely fucking disagree. Completely.
Prove it. You're surrounded by proof.
I'm surrounded by proof. Okay. You want me to prove it?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to prove it right now.
I knew you were looking at something. That's why I said that.
So, Bill Sienkiewicz is a very talented artist, and he makes really good art that I think I'd like to have on my wall because of how great it is. But this motherfucker doesn't tell a story. His art doesn't tell a story. I got right here, I got Daredevil. It's Frank Miller, Bill Sienkiewicz. It's I can't remember what this is like one of those original Marvel graphic novels. I can't remember what this one's actually called. Oh, Love and War. This is Daredevil, Love and War. And yeah, the art is stunning until you realize that it's like really hard to follow the story with this super surreal, weird art, you know? And so I think he's a very talented artist, but I don't think he's necessarily a great comic book artist, a sequential storyteller, if you will. Because I mean, look at this. Like this Kingpin takes I don't know. I had.
Is he the same? Is he the same Kingpin who has that giant body and then with the head in the middle?
Yes. Like I have trouble following the stories of Sienkiewicz. Sorry, I pronounced that wrong. Sienkiewicz. I hope he doesn't watch this because I still would like to have him on the show at some point. I just don't think he. I think he's great. I think he's a legend. I think he deserves his accolade.
Just in case he's watching.
But some art, while great, doesn't tell the story. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It doesn't move. It doesn't sequentially move and tell a story for me. So yeah,
we were just talking about that recently, and I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But art is super fucking important to me, especially if you're gonna read a comic book, graphic novel, whatever you want to call it. When I sit there, and it was actually one of my critiques on Redneck, where it was kind of like the art is good, it has its style. I love the art. It's not bad art, but if I find it hard to follow the story because I can't tell who's who or what exactly is happening at the time, I don't need everything to be Amanda Conner, very like clear black lines and comic book style. I don't need that. I like different types. I love Alex Ross. I love Amanda Conner, and those are two totally different types of styles. I love Ryan Stegman. I love Todd McFarlane. But when you're doing this, like, yeah, my art's different, and then like the characters are different than what we know, right? So I've seen people. Great example. Last week on Live from the Apocalypse, we talked about how the Spanish publisher in Spain for DC put out a comic book for Superman, and it was in honor of the essential workers and medical personnel.
Is that where he murders all the non-essential people, or?
No. But if you look at Superman in that story, it's clearly drawn, but you wouldn't know it was Superman if he wasn't wearing his red and blue suit with an S on his chest. Like, some artists take such liberties to change what's going on in their art to where it's like, what is going on here? I gotta, and then I'm like, I don't know. It kind of.
It's just distracting, is what it is.
It's distracting. Polly says it does. It just does it on an emotional level. He's an artist, and you're speaking of illustration.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. That is what I'm saying.
Yeah, don't speak to me emotionally when I'm reading comics. I need to know what's going on in the story, not how I feel.
Well, do both. Make emotion. Like fucking my hero, Isad Ribic.
Yes. That is a perfect example of somebody who's not Amanda Connor. She's stuck in my head because we just talked to her. But Amanda Connor is like awesome art. I loved it. It was the redeeming factor of Silk Spectre and before Watchmen. I fucking love her art. But I don't need it always to be Amanda Connor. This shit right here is beautiful artist art. Like, and it never distracts me. It never confuses me. That's gorgeous.
He's like he paints brilliant he paints brilliant wall art, stuff you could hang in a museum. In my opinion, at least. And it also tells the story so clearly. It's recognizable. You know what I mean? It's both. It does the things that Bill does great, which is convey all that emotion, but it also tells a story.
Yeah.
I love how I can just break out shit here.
But it's taste, right? It is taste, and here's something that I will say. I think that if you are familiar enough, it's kind of like when for me, I'm going to use a gaming reference, but it's kind of like when a new game comes out and I have to learn a different controller, or going from PC gaming keyboard and mouse to a new controller. It's annoying to me at first because I got my brain has to like learn this new map, right? So if you are a fan of Sinkovich and you've watched his work outside of Elektra, outside of Daredevil, and you've been following him for a while, then I do think, like a new controller, like a new video game, you can probably learn how to look at his art. And if he is that far off the norm, then somebody like us who's used to like clear illustration and stuff like that is not going to get his stuff. But Polly, if she's as big a fan as she says she is, has probably been looking at his art for a while, and it's not a problem for her to follow what's going on.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
not a bad point.
All right, so we don't need to like press and think of anything. We'll give it a minute because there's like a 20-second delay on here. If you guys want to want us to talk about a story, then bring up something in the chat. If you want to bullshit about something, let us know. But while we wait for the 20 seconds to catch up, if anybody has anything they want to talk about, then we'll go ahead and say some quick reminders. We do have our Teespring finally up. I wish I had actually thought of some screenshots, but our Teespring is great. Go to Teespring. I'll put the link in the description, but you can also just go to Teespring right now and do a search for I Freaking Love Comics, and we'll pop up. We got cool hoodies. We got a pretty cool shirt that was designed by me, but is a quote from our very own Judah Rad. And I won't tell you the exact quote. Just go look at the shirt. But it's just him bragging that he could beat the fuck out of any 10-year-old he ever meets. So if that's not enough to buy the shirt, any 10-year-old.
If you have a 10-year-old in your life that you think is particularly tough, I challenge him to a fight.
What if he was raised by a certain league and his dad was like a super like awesome fighter, and so was his mom? Could you beat him?
Is 10-year-old?
He's 10. He's 10.
Done deal.
What about if he has a sword and ninja stars and stuff, and he's been throwing those and using those since he can walk?
he can throw ninja stars with pinpoint deadly accuracy, then yes, he could.
Okay, yeah.
I'll say this.
I wanted to see how far you can go.
I'll say this. I can't beat a 10-year-old who has a gun. If a 10-year-old has a gun, he has a significant advantage over me. If he has throwing stars that he can throw with deadly accuracy, then yes, I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
If he has a sword, I think I still have a good chance, but who knows? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But an unarmed 10-year-old, yeah, I'll fucking.
I don't care. It is literally physics. It is physics. You could punch me in all the ways, and you can make it to where I can't block you, and a 10-year-old is not hitting me hard enough to do damage. And then all I need to do is grab you once, and I will make a crater in the earth with your corpse. Yeah, there's no way. So yeah, check that out. We also have the bookmarks that are out there. Mostly everybody who's in the chat, but just in case anybody's seeing anything pre-recorded in the future. But everybody in the chat I know has seen these. But metal stainless steel bookmarks. The Etsy store is up, and you guys can buy them from there. Again, the links will be in the deal. We have Tina Horn, writer of SFSX. Safe Sex.
It's Safe Sex SF. I'm still not 100% sure what to call it. I'll probably ask her on the show. So the title is filled in S, blurred out A, filled out F, like not filled in E, and then
okay, so
same with sex. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Safe Sex. So the a 10-year-old can run. Okay, so time out. There is a chance that a ninja 10-year-old could do stuff to me, and I'll never be able to catch him. Let's go to I think in the movies, like those Brazilian like gangster kids that I don't know if they actually exist or not. But yeah,
like the ones that lured Bruce Banner into the outskirts of town in the original Avengers.
Yeah. Is there a way that maybe they punch me in the balls and then run away, like, and I never catch them? For sure. But in this particular person, who's not any particular 10-year-old, because this is just a shirt about any 10-year-old, not a specific licensed character or anything. If he were to stay and fight me, I would destroy him. All right. But we're going to interview Tina Horn of Safe Sex. We're going to interview on Thursday. We'll probably get that up on Friday or Saturday after editing it. We got a lot of good stuff on here. What's up?
I want to encourage everyone to read Safe Sex, get caught up, so that maybe in the meantime, if you guys think of anything interesting you want to know, you can let us know and we'll ask her.
Absolutely. Before Thursday, hit us up, and if you guys want us to ask Tina Horn anything, we'll do like a segment. If we get enough questions, we'll do a segment where it's like, all right, question from our followers if you want to ask Tina Horn anything, and we'll probably throw that up on Facebook and Twitter. If you have questions for Tina Horn, let us know.
Awesome.
But yeah, we're gonna close it there. A 10-year-old can run. Damien T is the greatest thing ever. Just seeing if we missed anything. Thanks for joining us on our live from the apocalypse. Get better, Rhi.
Finger guns.
Finger guns.
All right, take it easy, guys. It's always fun.
Comics, movies, TV, video games, anime, your powers combined. I freaking love comics.
Live